Alright, in this video we are going to use KLWP and the Weather Underground API to extract more accurate information, in my opinion, and you can extract more information using this versus some of the weather.com, open weather, and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with the ones that are built into KLWP, but getting an API allows you access to more information and more accurate because, for example, I'm using Weather Underground. And even though right now it says Rosebud, if I refresh this, if I locked in on my longitude, latitude, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and do that right now. And if it does that, it should pull up like Wilson Country Club more than likely. And yeah, see Wilson Country Club. And as you can see, well, you don't know where I am, but nonetheless, this is like a mile from my house. So this is pretty accurate information, and we can get KLWP to pull this for us. So some things I want to cover. I want to cover how to implement the icons into it. I want to talk about how to get the API. That's the first thing we're going to look at. And you know, this is nothing crazy right now, but this is like the current conditions. This is the icon for today's forecast, the icon for tonight's forecast. So it looks like it's going to be clear tonight, high 86, low 51. I can also get, I haven't put in all my information yet, but this will be tomorrow, which is Thursday. Here's Friday, here's Saturday. With the free API key from Weather Underground, you can get up to 3 days forecast. And what else do I have up here? Oh yeah, that's the stuff that I covered in another video on pulling images. But if I refresh this, let's see what happens. I don't know if, okay, see how the information just updated? Now, I have this set up through Tasker, and for the one main reason, well, first of all, I've gotten more into using Tasker lately because of I've learned how to loops, using for loops and stuff like that, using JavaScript. You can get this PDF for free if you want to get into JavaScript. We don't need a lot of this stuff for this video, but nonetheless, Tasker will do JavaScript, and also I cannot get KLWP to show me the current temperature. Out of all this JSONparse pathing stuff, I cannot get that to show up, but maybe it will work for you. Everything else I am getting to work for the most part, and we'll see that. And then, you know, icons wise, if I tap up here at V1, notice I can change my icons. There's V2, there's V3, and V4 is one, but this is another little setback. I couldn't get that to work, or I can't get it to show at least on KLWP. I don't know why. But without all that said, let's go ahead and get started. What you need to do is go over to wunderground.com, and right up here, whenever it decides to load, we go into more, and then we look for Weather API for developers. Did I go to, yeah, I went to the right spot. Okay, so sign up for free, create an account, and I already have one, but I'm going to sign in right here in a second. If you go to explore my options, here's what you're going to get with a free plan. Geo lookup, autocomplete, current conditions, which I will use, and we'll use the 3-day forecast summary. You can pay some money and you can get hourly forecast, 10-day forecast, and all that stuff. But that one right there is fine. So it costs you nothing. You get a limit of 500 calls per day. I think that basically means you can pull that JSON file 500 times per day. I have not exceeded that. But notice if you do pay some money per month, you get more calls and you get more options. That's entirely up to you if you want to throw some dough down on that. So go ahead and purchase your key, and once you purchase the key, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And you'll get to some page like this eventually. And again, you can get right back there by going to that more, well, it's back on Weather Underground. Once you log in and stuff like that, you'll be going to this page when you look at the Weather API for developers. So, documentation. Let's go ahead and pull a JSON of what's going on. Some things to take note of here. Underneath data features, you have the way the URL is broken up. So this is what we're going to be, you know, getting. I think all we need is that much information right there. Pieces that we can leave out. Okay, there's my API right now. I'm going to refresh this, or I'm going to regenerate it after this video is over with, so I don't care about you seeing it. Features. Features, what do we want? The ones I'm going to do conditions, and I'm going to do forecast. And we can do both of those at one time by separating them up here. So I'll show you that in a second. Settings, I don't do anything with that. The settings right there. So skipping over all that stuff. and then I'm going to do it based on latitude, longitude. Because that will give me the most accurate information. It'll pick up the closest station to my current location whenever whenever KLWP pulls that JSON file, and then obviously we want to do .json. So here, let me I think I already have this. Yep, but I don't have the one that's for my area code. But I tell you what, oh yeah, and that's my old key too. So let me copy my new key over. And pop that into here. Now this JSON file is going to be based on, and it's still pulling Wilson Country Club. But I tell you what, I want this stuff to match up, so I need to get my longitude and latitude real quick. So let me come over here and type in current longitude and latitude, and I'm just going to copy this real quick from my geo position. Let's copy XY. Basically, it's going to copy these two numbers, and so I'm going to go to that, and this is how we can get. There we go. Now our data might be a little bit different versus, well, actually it should pretty much be the same, because KODING should pull something pretty similar to this. Let me go ahead and pull that one. Now every time I'm doing this, it's doing a new call. So I'm not going to sit here and do this 500 times, otherwise I'd exceed my calls for the day. But this is the file that we're interested in, and let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to copy this, the whole thing, go on over to jsonformatter.curiousconcept.com. This is where you can go and make this thing look a lot prettier. So I'm just copying and pasting. All that information got copied and pasted up here into this blue spot. You click process and bam. All right, here's what we're after. And let me go ahead and show you how to start reading this thing. So let me go into KLWP. And I'm going to put this information right up here. And we're going to start getting some stuff that looks similar. All right, suppose we want... Okay, I'll go ahead and show you, let me show you what I can get to pull, and then let me show you how I can't get the temperature to show up. So I'm just going to pop this stuff right up here. I'm not even going to put it in an overlap group or anything like that. I'm going to add some text, and in this text, I need to create a new background so we can see this. I'll tell you what, let me save this, go back to the home screen. I just want to do something more than likely. Now I did a video on all this stuff the other day. If I pull space porn, I'm guessing it's probably going to be dark, because you know most pictures of space are dark. There we go. All right, so now we can see the text up there. So back into KLWP. And of course it's not going to show it here because of the way it doesn't refresh it as often as I would like it to, but nonetheless we're just going to roll with it. Alright, so scrolling down here, we need to go to WG WebGet. I guess that's what it stands for. And scrolling to the bottom of this, we get this JSON thing. Current IP via public service. Basically, you can do a JSON path parse expression. So I'm going to override that. And what we want to do now, we can copy and paste that right there if we want to. However, what I prefer to do is create a global variable. And let me copy this. Let me go into KLWP. I'm just going to check that for right now. I'm going to go over to globals, and I'm actually going to apply this link to a global variable. So I'm going to add WU and a text global variable. Basically, I'm going to copy that whole address in there. Let me scroll down to it, and then let's paste that into it. Alright, so there's that web address that we just had a moment ago. I think we can take away the HTTP and the 2 backslashes. I don't know, it might pull it, it might not. I've left mine off. And we want to delete this, because if we left it like that, it would always pull the JSON from that particular longitude, latitude. So you want to be able to pull it from wherever you are. Therefore, we can use some of these codes down here. So I'm going to go to LI, and I'm just going to use my finger to scroll through this. We want to do this one, comma, this one. So boom. I'm going to go back inside my dollar symbol, comma, and that one. Okay. Oh, actually, nope. My bad. I want to do like this, put that one in a dollar symbol, comma, and then put that one. There we go. You see how that added those two coordinates? Now, how far off is that? I mean, notice this on mine, and this is what my geo position pulled. So it's pretty close. I think it's going to pull pretty much the same information because it's going to pull it from Wilson Country Club. The only thing that's going to be different is like these numbers here on the JSON file. But good. Okay, so let's remember what we have that stored as. We have it stored as GVWU. So now, instead of us having to type in that address every time, we can just do GVWU. So I'm going to go back to my text item, and I'm going to bump its size on up a little bit. Let me change its color. I know we should be on a space color right now, but I'm going to do something that I can see here too as we're changing things. Of course, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to do that. So now, this is where you want to put the web address. So since we just created a global variable, let's put that in that spot. GVWU, close it up. And now leave that alone, and this is where we start doing the path to the particular piece of information that we want. You always want to start off with a period. And basically, as we move through these sections, that's where we we'll put a new period at and so forth. Now the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do it through this little piece right here. Let's pull, I said I was going to show you the information that I couldn't pull. Now this right here, we don't need any of this stuff unless you want to pull the web address or something like that. So I don't need anything from response. And the idea here is, you know, you always want to start off with the thing that's furthest to the left. So right now we got a response and we got a current observation. But to get to current observation, we don't have to go through response since they're both on the left side of the screen. So current observation, I don't want any of this stuff. I mean, you can get that if you want, but I don't want it, so I'm going to minimize that. Current observation, let's go to display location and let's get the full. So notice how we're going, we don't need image, because see how image and display location are on the same piece? We want to do current observation dot display location dot full, and it should pull this information right here. So I'm going to type that in using my finger. We got current, and make sure you do it exactly like you see it. So current, notice I do have a period right there in front. So current underscore observation, very good, dot, because we're going to a new piece. Now we don't have to go to image again, because as long as these things are lined up, we jump from here to this one. We don't have to go to image. So dot display location. Display, and notice that has an underscore as well. Some of these words do not, and you'll see that in a little while. Location. Dot, now where do we want to go down here? I said we want to go to full, but really you can do dot any of these to extract that. So dot, what did I say, full. All right, there we go. So this should be pulling the web address, that JSON file that we've already copied over into here. That's that global variable. Current observation dot display location dot full. Notice I have a dot right here in front to start that path off. Let's check that. Let's save it. And let's go to the home screen and see. There you go, Wilson, North Carolina. That's what we have right there. Now, if you want to pull another piece of information from here, I'm going to put all of this stuff inside of one text file. Now, obviously, you can start adding different text items to, I was wondering why do I have a rectangle right there, but that's just part of the picture. Okay. Now notice, you know, it said Wilson a second ago, now it's not, but that's just the way that works. Sometimes this thing will automatically show, sometimes it won't. You have to kind of like go back and test if it's not going to show it in here. So now I'm going to copy and paste this thing. Now you could definitely create a new text item if you want to put the temperature or whatever we're getting ready to show next. I tell you what, let's show, let me make this full screen. And now let me get my phone back. All right, suppose we want to show, it does not really matter, okay, country, yeah. All right, so I'm going to copy. I'm going to come right down here beneath it. I'm going to paste. And the only thing we need to change here, notice country is still, you know, current observation dot display notation or display location dot country. So change that full to country, not county. Boom. All right, let's check it. Let's save it. Notice it says 2 loadings of them are down there now. And now we got Wilson, North Carolina, US. So we're pulling what we want to pull. Now, if you want to get some of this stuff, what you'd have to change now, suppose you don't want any information from display location. That's what I like about this website where we got the file copied to. I can just minimize that and it helps me keep things lined up. If I wanted something inside of here, I'd have to go current observation dot observation underscore location dot whatever we want here. That right there is pretty good. That shows you where the weather station is. In this case, like I said, this is about a mile from my house. But okay, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in estimated. Everything else is lined up here. So to get to any of this stuff, all we have to do is go to current underscore observation dot, and if we want to pull any of these text items, we just have to type these in. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to pull one that I know works. Temperature underscore string. I haven't tested every single one of these, but the one that I wish would work, it doesn't work. So let me take all this stuff up to here. Well, right. Come on. There we go. So copy. Of course, you can put this in a new text item every time you do this. I'm just going to leave them all in here. Paste. Now, remember what I said? So we got current observation. We didn't want any of that stuff. And I want to go ahead and get temperature underscore string. It will display this. And notice really what this is just the Fahrenheit into Celsius. But I cannot get KLWP to show that. It's like it's not pulling it. But I can get Tasker to do it. I don't understand it. Maybe y'all can figure out why, or maybe it's just my phone or whatever. I don't know. But current observation, and we can go to straight to, because current observation down here, what do we want to see? Temperature underscore string. Okay, not strong. Make sure you type everything in right. Make sure you don't forget your decimal at the front and then your decimal between each piece. Of course, you don't need a decimal in between there because we're pulling that exact piece. And it should show this now. Now this is where it might be a little bit different versus what we see here because my longitude and latitude aren't exact, but I think it's going to be the same thing. No, it's not. See what I'm saying? Now that could be because of the fact that it needs to be refreshed. Don't be pulling this thing every minute because you're going to exceed your 500 calls in 500 minutes, obviously. But maybe it has something to do with the location, the longitude, latitude. I tell you what I'll do. I will go back and I'm going to refresh this thing and let's see if it did change it. 83 point, does that sound right? Remember that? So I just refreshed it. I did another call, so to speak. 83.9, 28.8. Let's see, does that match what KLWP? Yeah, 83.9, 28.8. So a refresh, if you want to refresh it, this refreshes, to my understanding, the same as your RSS refreshes, like however you have it set in KLWP. But as you can see, it is doing that. So just to keep everything matched up, I'm going to copy that one, and I'm just going to come back up here and paste it. And I'm going to reprocess it. That way we have everything matching up. All right. Cool. Now, okay, we don't need any of that stuff. I'm done with, whoops, I want to keep that open for a second. Okay, current observation, I don't care about image, I don't care about display location. You can do this stuff from here if you'd like. No estimated. Now, watch this. We just did temperature underscore string. Well, let's go into KLWP and let's try to do temp underscore F. Let me see. Can I paste? Have I copied anything else? Yep, I figured I was going to do that. I copied something. So let me just take this thing, copy and paste it, just like I've been doing. All right, so we got temperature string. Now I want temp underscore F. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and add one more piece as well. Okay, I don't think temp underscore C works either. Relative humidity, I'm going to do that one now. Notice it does have an underscore, right? Yep, relative underscore humidity. All right, cool. So we should be getting the temperature in Fahrenheit and the relative humidity. Relative humidity is 39%, and we should be seeing an 83.9. And notice, like I said, these two numbers here are just that. So if you can't get this to work, if you're happy with that, great. Maybe you can do some text. You can cut some of your text so you don't see the Celsius or vice versa. I'm going to check that. And let's save it. Let's go back to the home screen. And look, there we go. See that blank spot? That's where I had that temp underscore F. It just will not show that. I don't understand, but notice it does show relative humidity. So that's how you can access information. Now you can get wind speeds. Like I said, you can get a lot of stuff. Dew points, heat index, what does it feel like? You know, I like seeing that too. If you can get, that one does work. I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure it does. I can't remember what I've tested and what I haven't tested. So since we know this one right here, the temp underscore F, we know that one doesn't work. I tell you what, I'm going to pull out my stylus from my phone because I can operate a little bit quicker. Well, I said that, now I can't. All right, come down the line, paste. And what was the code that we're looking for? Let's see, feels like. So feels like underscore F. So I just need to change this part. All right, that should be good. Check it, save it. Going back to the home screen, and there you go. See, 83. Now, obviously, when we code this, we're going to have to put a little degree symbol and an F for it to show if you want to see, because notice it doesn't have a degrees Fahrenheit there, or where am I at? Right here. Or you can do a feels like string. So it's pulling it. You know, it's pulling that information. I don't understand why it will not pull temp underscore F. If you find a solution, hit me up, please. I'd like to know. So out of all that, you can pull all this stuff all you want. Just add a new code each time you do it. That's under current observation. So this is like the conditions. And I forgot to mention, man, shame on me. But back in this AP, the web address, notice my address right here. I have conditions/forecast. I should have mentioned this a few minutes ago. But the conditions/forecast, it will give you the conditions and the forecast. And you can keep on adding more of these. I bet this has already gone away. No, it hasn't. I'm doing the conditions and the forecast, which is this one here and this one here. You can't get the 10-day forecast because unless you're getting the paid one. But nonetheless, you know, you can separate them with a little backslash to get multiple pieces. So with that said, now let's go back to full screen on this. And I'm done with current conditions. So I'm going to minimize that whole thing. So to get to forecast, we don't have to go through current observation because forecast is lined up in the same spot. So forecast is going to we're going to replace current observation with forecast in our next piece. Now you have a couple of things for forecast. We have a text forecast. I'm going to minimize that whole text forecast. And then you have this thing called simple forecast. Text forecast will give you long sentences for the forecast. For example, notice we got sunshine and clouds mixed. This will always be whatever day it is, it's night, tomorrow during the day, tomorrow night, 2 days away, it's night, and then the 3 days away and it's night. It'll always be like that, so just think day, night, and so forth up to 3 days. So if you want to get some information from here, if we want to go, we have to go forecast dot text underscore forecast dot forecast day. And since this stuff here, forecast day, this long piece is arranged in what's called an array. I think that's what we can think of it as. And think of this as array 0, array 1, or item 1. God knows. Okay, think of this as item 0, item 1, item 2, and so forth. And you might say, can I do it based on periods? Well, think of it as this is the first item in the array. We call that item 0. This is the second item in the array. We call it item 1. You have to be careful there. That's part of that coding thing that I had to learn about with JavaScript and stuff like that. The first item in an array, the first item in a list of items is always going to be 0 and then so forth. Okay, with that said, let's pull, let's do this one right here. Let's see if we can get sunshine and clouds mixed, blah, 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 to show up using the correct path. So coming down, copy and paste. So we got to change quite a few things. Remember, we don't need current observation anymore. Forecast is on the same vertical line as current observation, so I want to change current observation to forecast. Oh, don't forget your dot. So forecast. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and delete this as well. Dot text underscore forecast. So text. All right, dot. So we're going from here to here. We don't need to go to date. We need to go to forecast day. So forecast. Now notice forecast day has no underscore, so I'm just going to do forecast day. Now what we want to do here, since this stuff is arranged in a list, this is like item number 0, item number 1, item number 2. What I do is this. I come in here and I put a set of brackets, and inside of those brackets I want to put which item do I want to pull from. So I want to know what's the forecast for today. Today's Wednesday. What's the forecast for today? So this is in the first item, which we call 0. This is the first item in a list is 0. So 0, and then what do you want to pull? So when it sees this, it's looking at all of this information in item 0. We want to pull .fctt or fct text, no underscore. All right, so let's check our path again. .forecast .text underscore forecast .forecast day, item number 0, which is the first one. And then .fct text. So it should be pulling this once I check this and save it. Unless it's been updated already. Alright, so it looks like it's pulling it right. The reason why this is all jacked up looking is because of we just need to edit our text. I tell you what, I'm going to do a fixed width, and let's just bump this on up to about pretty close to 700. I'm going to go ahead and center it. That way it looks halfway presentable. And now all this other stuff is blocking it now. So, but look, sunshine and clouds. Can you read that? Mixed. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High around 85. Winds west-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's exactly what we see. Okay, I can't move this out of the way, but if you were to read all of that right there, it matches it perfectly. Now, what we can do, instead of me going here and typing in a whole new code, I'm going to go ahead and show you how we can pull the other ones by changing just what we put inside of the square brackets. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in here and just hide some of these things. So let me hide, which one? This one. I don't care about my buttons. They'll be fine. So let's go back to the text. Now, remember this one we just did? We did the 0 inside of the brackets. It was pulling this one. Let's go ahead and go down here. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. Okay, let's pull 5. So all I have to do here, of course, you might want to copy this if you want both of these, or if you want all of them, you have to come in here and code each one of them. But I'm just going to change that just to a 5, and everything else stays the same. It's just going to the item 5 in the list. Remember, we start at 0. You have to be careful there. And if I don't change anything else about it, it should pull clear skies, low 44 degrees, blah, 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 because that's where the FCT text is. So let's save it and let's check it. All right, so this has already changed. Mainly clear earlier than a few clouds later on. Low 44. Winds 5 to 10. So you are seeing some things here, but notice the clear skies changed. Now, what am I going to do? I'm not going to copy and paste all this stuff again, but if I come in here and if I refresh this, I guarantee if we scroll, notice how these, forecasts, see, it's not as organized to me in my opinion, but what was it? Number 5. Okay, partly cloudy, low 44 winds. Okay, so they're all very similar here, but what it is, mine on my phone says one thing, KLWP says, or here's why. Here's why I'm saying that, because of the fact that I guarantee you it's this longitude, latitude. So to prove that to you, I'm going to do one more thing. Zip code. I'm going to come into KLWP, and I mean, yes, you can do a code to, of course, we can do like not a variable, but a code to get our zip code. That way it dynamically changes, but I'm just going to type in 27896. Now, this address and this address should be identical. Let me check that, and let me save it. And let's go back to the home screen now. Notice the thing has changed. Let me scroll. I'm at 27896, and I programmed my code to be the same there. Let's scroll down to that period 5. Look, clear skies, low 44 winds, blah, blah, blah. Clear skies, low 44. As you can, I don't know if you can quite read that because of the background. Let me see. Can I slide over a little bit and get it out of the way? Well, at least you can see that part now. It matches it perfect. So I hope that makes sense. Now, what one more person was asking about is, suppose you just want the highs and the lows. The highs and the lows. And I said I wasn't going to copy and paste it, but I'm going to do it anyway. It won't take but a second. All right, so I got the new file. Here's how we can get to the highs and the lows. All right, I'm going to minimize just because I think that helps keep things organized. We don't care about response. Current observation, don't need it. We don't need text forecast anymore, but notice we do want simple forecast. Underneath simple forecast is where we can get to our highs and our lows. Okay, I don't need any of this stuff unless you want to, you could pull the day, whatever day it is, Wednesday, March the 16th, but I'm going to minimize that. Whoops, not the whole thing, just this part. So what we want to do is we want to go to forecast. We don't do text forecast. We go forecast, simple forecast, forecast day, and this is that same idea with the array where this stuff is like item 0. Even though it says period 1, this is item 0. This will be let's see where this ends. This will be item number 1, even though it says period 2. It can be a little bit confusing there, but I want to go ahead and pull the high. Where's that at? Right there. I want to pull the 86, and I want to go ahead and pull the low as well. So I'm going to go to my phone. Let's go into KLWP. Notice it's starting to show some information up here. I don't know why it wasn't doing that a few minutes ago. All right, paste that in there. So, what do we have to change about this code? Forecast dot, okay, we don't want text underscore forecast. Notice simple forecast is lined up, so we want to go to simple forecast. I'm going to change that. Dot forecast day, well, forecast, simple forecast, forecast day. We don't change that. And now we just have to change where do we want to get the information from. So this is like an array. That bracket, I think that's what it pretty much means. You have a list of pieces in here. And this whole chunk, all of this that you see right now is like piece 0. So I'm going to go to piece 0. And I don't want to do FCT text. I want to do inside of piece 0, I want to do high dot Fahrenheit. Notice you got forecast day, This is chunk 0 dot high dot Fahrenheit. So high dot Fahrenheit. Did I spell that right? F-A-H-R-E-N-H-E-I-T. F-H. Yep. Let's check it. Let's save it. Let's go back to the home screen. Did it pull it? 86. I see it. Do you? Right there. Bam. Okay, how do we get the low? And then we're going to start talking about icons. I know some of y'all have been waiting to hear about the icons. And with that, saving it. Okay, is it not going to pull the low? Did I not do something right? Oh, yeah, there we go. Not high dot low. Low dot Fahrenheit. Okay, that should work. There we go. 85, high 85, low 51. Okay, I guarantee. Look, didn't this thing just say 86 a second ago? Could have sworn it did. And now it says 85. So I'm making sure I'm not coding this wrong. I could have swore it just said, let me refresh this. You see how this thing can change? It changes very often. Okay, high 85, low 51 if I refresh it. I'm not going to go back and copy and paste that in there because we're ready to talk about icons. But as you can see, it does change. So, you know, how often do you want to pull this? I would pull it like every 30 minutes. Who cares if it's going to change by a degree or something like that? All right. So, what about icons? Well, here's something worth mentioning. You have icons, and they talk about them inside of the API. My computer's being slow. What the heck is this? All right, so back inside of the your API, once you get your code and stuff, you have all these other things you can look at as well. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we have some icon sets. I don't use them, unfortunately, because these are GIFs and they're not very clear. For example, let me just go ahead and right-click on this, and I'm just going to open that image in a new tab. So it's going to open that image up, and you see the URL for it. And you know, if I zoom in on this, see how it's already getting pixelated? It's blurry, it's not clear. Well, good news for you, and kind of not the best news because I just realized something else just the other day. But if we go to, let me pull up my current conditions where I am right now. If I click on my current conditions, this right here looks like a clear image to me, and even if we zoom in, see how it stays clear? So that's a hint to me. If I right click on that and open image in new tab, we'll close that one, and now check it out. SVG. Pretty cool, huh? Not just that, but there's 4 different versions. I cannot get this icon. I've saved them all. Can't get this one to display in KLWP. I don't know why, but there's 3 more versions. V3, all I'm doing is changing my URL to V3. There's that one, but what you'll notice about this is what I didn't realize the other day. You see these lines? I guess that's there to keep people from copying it, unfortunately, or maybe they use that to help center things because it does look like something to help center things up. And then these are the conditions. Clear, if I do like night underscore, I'm going to show you all these conditions in a second, but night underscore clear, notice we have another one there, and it also has the little, I don't know if you can see those lines, but there are some lines in it. It doesn't ruin the whole thing. I still use these depending on what the background is to this image. You can't even see the lines. But that's V3, then we have a V2. No lines on this one, but that's like a plain old, you know, we're used to seeing these types of icon fonts. And then we have a V1 right there. And to my, I don't see any crazy extra lines on that one either. And the only thing that changes about this is this right here. And basically what that is right there is the icon code that Weather Underground refers to. Now I have all these underground codes, and they are located right here. We got chance flurries, chance rain, chance sleet, all this stuff. Okay, so if I go to like night underscore thunderstorm, so if I copy and paste that in that spot right there, it's going to do night. That's the icon for night night thunderstorms. And then it also has a V2. It also has a V3, and it also has a V4. I don't know why that one won't show in KLWP. I guess maybe because it's bigger. Okay, so what do we want to do with these things? Well, notice the condition is the only thing that's changing about it. Of course, you could, right-click, save as, but you'd have to do that for a bunch of conditions, and you'd have to do it for 3 different versions. Or you can do this. You can create your own folder, and let me show you that on my phone. So I'm going to go to just a little file manager I have, and I have my images for this because I'm using Tasker to do a lot of this stuff, but Tasker, okay, I don't want to do get text. Image, and now I have Weather Underground SVGs, and I have it broke up into V1, V2, V3, V4. I created a task in Tasker that pulled all these images, and it created all these folders, pulled all these images in like 10 or 15 seconds, and saved them right to my phone. That's for another video. Like I said, some of these don't work anyway. The V4, it will not show in KLWP unless you can figure out how to work around that. But basically all the images in here, notice it's just chance flurries, chance rain, chance sleet. It's all of these things you see here. So if you already have your own images or your own icons, of course icons I wouldn't mess with, but the API key is going to have these things here. So we can code it in KLWP to display, whatever we have in this particular spot, and just put .svg on the end, and we're good to go. I'm going to stick with V1 for right now, and I'm just going to click on this one. I'm going to copy its path, and basically it's copying the path of where that image is located. So here's how we can pull some icons. Now obviously I'm going to have to back out of here. I'm going to add an image. We'll pop this image to the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and bump its size on up a little bit. And underneath bitmap, we need to change it to SVG since this is a SVG file. And I'm going to my calculator. All right, so inside of here, I want to paste that file path. However, we want this thing right here. Now, if I check this and I save it, it's going to, look, it gives you that SVG file. It's pulling it directly from that folder. However, I want this to dynamically change, and all I have to do is come in here and do a JSON Path pull on that to change its name. Because remember how I showed you the file names are chance flurries, chance rain, blah, 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 blah. Well, we can do some of this. Let me go back to my text. This stuff that I've been talking about for the last, 30, 45 minutes. And we can get the icon name, which is going to be one of these, from the API. So let me just do current observation. So I'm way back up. I'm not looking at forecast. But what you want to hunt around for, we're not under image. You may think you would be, but we're not. Not display location and not observation location. But if I scroll down through this, and I should make this full screen. Where is it at? We're looking for icon. There it is. Notice that gives a condition. It will give clear, it will give night clear, night partly cloudy, and basically once it pulls that, we can code this in KLWP to where this will pop up, which will pull up a different picture as long as you have all these pictures saved in the same folder. All we have to change is that one thing. Now, obviously to get this for forecast, you can do this as well, but you have to make sure you change your path. And where's the icon for that? I know it's somewhere in here. Right there. See? Icon. Under simple forecast, forecast day. This is that chunk 0, and you do icon, and it would pull it right there. And these will change. I know for a fact that if we go back to the following, if we go to forecast, and I don't want to do simple forecast, I want to do text forecast. These right here will pull the day, partly cloudy, and then look, night clear. Clear, that's like day. Let's see what it says. See, now we're to night, night partly cloudy. That's all we got to pull. So I'm just going to pull current observation, and I'm going to do dot icon. Yep, boom. Okay, so let's go and do that. I'm going to scroll back up through my codes, and I'm going to find one where I had current observation. Gosh, it'd be just as quick to type it in. Okay, copy. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, show you that the word pops up, and then we're going to actually put this into our picture. So let's do icon. So we're not pulling an icon. We're not pulling a picture. All we're doing is pulling a word. We're pulling this word right here. And if I check it, save it, go back to my home screen, notice it says clear. So that hasn't changed based on the updates, because I mean right now I'm just doing the current observation and I'm looking at my window and it's just as pretty as it can be. It is 84.4 degrees. So you better believe I'm going to go out and have me a run once I get done with this video. Yeah. But nonetheless, there we go, clear. So this is the word that we want to show up. And if you recall, inside of the folder in SD made, all it's going to do is I'm going to put a code where this name is in KLWP, and whatever icon, wherever you're pulling it from. Now you can pull it from multiple spots, forecast, day, and then pull its icon. Just make sure you do the path right, like I mentioned earlier. And it's going to pull that word, partly cloudy, and it will automatically update it. Snap your fingers, just like that. So with that said, let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's go back to KLWP. And now I want to go to that image. Oh, okay, before I do that, I need to go back to that text. And I need to copy this. I'm going to go to my image, I'm going to go to my code, and right here, since it's definitely not a chance of flurries, it's almost freaking 85 degrees outside, this is where we want to paste that code. And look at what it just did. Okay, it says mostly cloudy, but I guarantee you when I save it, it's going to go back to clear. It's just got to refresh it once I save it. But it's pulling from that path, and if you just saw a moment ago, it said chance of flurries, but since I've put this code and it's pulling the icon, that path is pulling clear in this case, it should return the clear.svg, because that's what it said. Well, it says mostly cloudy.svg, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go to a clear.svg. So let me save that, go back to the home screen, and as you can see, it is clear. That's that guy right there, and it is that's the icon for clear. Now, what you could also do is this. You could create like a list global variable. This is what I was doing earlier at the beginning of the video. If I come in here to this file path, since I had all those folders, if you recall, I had a V1, V2, V3, V4. You can do a list global and have it go from, you know, V1 to V2 to V3 to V4, and you can change these right from your home screen, but I'm just going to let it stay right there. So now it's going to pull it from the very same path, but it's pulling from a different folder, V2. And notice V2 does have a different icon font to it. Let me save that, go back to the home screen, and there is the clear for that one right there. And again, all that's doing there is the way I have this thing set up. Notice I have a V1, V2, V3, V4. Every single one of these inside, every single piece in here, they have the same exact files with the same exact names. Boom, look familiar? If I go to V2 or V3, if I go to V3, boom, they're all the same names. It's just that I'm changing a minor part of the file path to get a different image. So with that said, going back to this document here, you can just do any weather icon font you want and name them all inside of a folder, copy that path over, and you know, if you have one that has a, like for chance of flurries, chance of snow, I'd actually probably do the same picture if I had my own weather icon fonts or weather SVG images. And, you know, just save it as that, .svg or .gif, JPEG, or whatever you're using, and you can kind of do something very similar to what I'm doing here. But I hope that makes sense. And what would happen here is every time it pulls this new JSON, it's going to change that based on whatever the icon is. Now, if you did want to, right now in KLWP, there's a big difference between icon and icon URL. Icon URL is going to pull, well, right now KLWP will not pull this image. You could do this in Tasker, but let me see. Go to that. So I'm going to that .gif. This is that cloudy image again, fuzzy looking image. As you can see, as I zoom in, it starts to get real fuzzy. So that's why we want to get that SVG in this case. Now, some things to point out again. If I showed you the lines on some of these. Let me see, do I still have one opened up? Yeah. Which one was it? Was it V3 maybe? Yeah. I don't know if you can see this in the video or not, but there are some lines, straight circles and lines. But again, depending on the backdrop, it will hide that. Or like I said, create your own SVGs, or if you already have some, name them this, and basically I'm going to put this text file, because these are all the conditions that you can have. Some things you might notice that are missing are like tornado. Well, heaven forbid, I would not be looking at my phone if a tornado's coming. There are some other ones too, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But for most any condition that we need nowadays, with the exception of real extreme weather, like volcano, there's no volcano. I think Open Weather Map has one of those or something. One of those have a volcano. I can't remember. I saw it somewhere. But nonetheless, let me see. What else do I have to cover here? I've showed you how to pull all of that stuff from whether it be observation or current conditions, forecast, text forecast, highs and lows. I showed you how to get the icon and how to code that. You know, I didn't get into how much of the nitty-gritty detail can you do in regards to, you had a whole bunch of things like the humidity, the dew point, and all that stuff. And that's one of the pluses about using maybe the Weather Underground API or any weather API for that matter, because you can get a lot of information from it versus what's offered inside of KLWP. But there's plenty inside of there too. But yeah, that is a full-fledged diving into the API of Weather Underground, getting its SVG images, or you can create your own images and code them correctly to get it to change dynamically. And that's it for this video. Hope it helped.